Mighty Warriors roar. Hello and welcome to the Board Game Basement with me, AZ, Ghosty, and once again Ghosty's mate who is Alice. Hello, and we're here presenting the wonderful game Wild Assent by Lazy Squire Games. I picked up this game on the off after sort of hearing about it when it came out. Wasn't really too sure what it entailed, but I've been quite surprised by this game, and the reason being is it really does feel like 3 games in one. I've struggled to play the game because I'm having to think about 3 different aspects of the game. So primarily, Wild Assent is a skirmish-based game. You've got your heroes on the board, and you're pitting yourselves against the enemy, albeit whether that be monsters or whether that be other players and other player characters. So the game has, I'd say, 3 modes. It says it has 2 modes, which is a hunt mode. If any of you played kind of a Kingdom Death Monster style game, then this is trying to sort of be a less version of that, where you have an encampment phase where you're going to sort out all your goodies, capture your monsters, hire recruits, and do basic camp stuff. Then you're going to go out and hunt and try and capture monsters for gold, and also for different pieces of items from the monsters to be able to make things to help you out further along in the game. And then it also comes with another game mode on it, which is the versus mode, which is like you're in a pit, you're in an arena, kind of like a Roman amphitheatre thing, and you're fighting against each other. And that's primarily a player versus player mode, where you can also have monsters on your side that fight alongside you as well. But if you have the expansion, which comes with more monsters and gubbins else, you also get a single player mode, which gives you a sort of a prelude to the main campaign in the game for the hunt mode. And that's a single player game where you're just doing these kind of skirmish hunts, but it gives you a bit of a story behind it as to why they ended up being where they were if you were doing the main campaign. Bit strange as to why it wasn't in the main, because it really feels it's a well written for the skirmish that you're doing and for what you're doing on the board. I was really impressed with the writing of the story in the prologue. It really did fill out the characters quite well. Gave you enough information just to get you going to actually play the game, which was quite nice. I just felt it was a bit of a shame that it wasn't included in the main box, because it actually was pretty good. So yeah, we've got a game that has 3 different modes to it. Alice didn't play this game though.
No, I didn't
She
play
was
this game.
because it was difficult to sort of get your head around.
I definitely don't think it was my style.
No, I think you would have been okay, but it was just because there is 3 different things to play. It is, and they feel very different. They do. They mechanically have similarities, but they feel different. And it is like they've squashed 3 games together.
You said it was a little bit like chess in some ways.
Yeah, the skirmish
And I was
itself.
Don't do chess.
The skirmish itself that surrounds the main game, which makes up the actual mechanics of the game, is fairly straightforward. You've got your player character that has certain stats, your health, your attack, base attack, your attack dice that you'll roll to boost that attack, and your defense. And that's pretty much it. You've also got abilities on the board which you can do. Your activation is fairly straightforward. When you activate, you can do a move, and you've got a set amount of movement points. And then you can also do one action. So you can choose to use one of your special skills if you've unlocked the skill, or you can just attack. And why Alice was saying, I was saying it's a bit like chess, is because this game revolves around facing movement. So what I mean by that is the way you're facing determines how well you attack, also determines your arc of the attack that you're doing, which a lot of games now don't utilize. Have sort of a bit of an older thing, and they've kind of brought that back. But in this game, it felt nice to do. So the game isn't overly complex at all, and I think they thought about that. There's obviously things to do with terrain and stuff, but overall, if you've played any heavier games, Pantheon or anything like that are really sort of big on everything that's going on the board matters. This is really, really straightforward. If you're standing next to something that gives you that gives you half cover. It's just sort of, you know, 2 defence, really quite straightforward, and you want to get into those positions, and straight away, as soon as you see the layout of the board, you start to tick and think, oh, I'm gonna try and position myself there and get myself into an advantageous position for the game. But it is a bit of a strange one. If I said, did I enjoy it? I did enjoy it, but I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I could have enjoyed it.
Do you know why? Could you pinpoint why?
Yeah, I think a lot of effort went
playing
into. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, exactly. A lot of effort went into trying to make these different modes, and I give them brownie points for trying to build a game that can be multiple things, because that's good, because you can have players who want to play against you. If you've got a friend who you play games with regularly and you're quite good, then the arena mode would be really great for you guys, because you can just try and bash each other and really go at it. But if you've got people that want a more cooperative experience, you've got a chance to do that. And for those people that think to themselves they might be interested in a big game like Kingdom Death Monster and how that kind of works, this sort of, it's a very, very light version of that. I will say that it doesn't scratch the itch if the itch needed to be scratched for that. It's never going to replace something like that, because it is so light. The AI for the monsters themselves is quite basic. And a lot of the time, when you shuffle yourselves around and the monsters shuffle themselves around into a position, everything stays in one position, and then you just attacking each other back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There's no sort of, I need to get back from this, or I can do something to try and get out of this, or the monster does something sort of unexpected that you kind of think, oh, I'm going to have to change my game plan. Like, it doesn't really work like that. They have a very, very basic set activation that they do, and it doesn't sort of give you that level of detail that you may want to have if you're looking for something to replace that. But for anybody getting into these sort of games, it's different. So if you like your skirmish games but want something more cooperative to play, where you've got this kind of encampment phase where you can choose how you want your group to sort of move forward, how you want that group to sort of spend their goods and get better, then it's a really nice introduction for that, for sure. As I said, the writing and the production quality of the game, I think, is absolutely fine. The models I was really impressed with, to say, I've not really heard much about them. They're really nice models. They've given you these foam inserts for all of the models, where they, to try and store them safely, which when I first saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, great, that's really good, like, really nice thing. Except some of the models were snapped in that, which is quite sad. Yeah. So I don't know if it's sort of how they were produced. I mean, they're solid models, they're not hollow, they're very solid. They're nice and weighty as well. They're not really light. You can tell they've been, well, I think they've been well designed. So whether it was just a transportation issue, or whether the foam is quite firm and it's just sort of snapped some of the smaller weapons off, which is a bit of a shame. So I'm not sure if that's happened to other people, but there's a few in mine that have snapped, which is quite sad. Another thing, because the game has got lots of different modes, they've given you all the monsters and everything in white, which is fine, because you think, they might be on your team. Say if you're in the arena mode, they might be in your team, but predominantly if you're playing this hunt mode, they're not. I've had to add these sort of coloured bases to the bottom just so I know who's who, and there's nothing like that in the game, which I thought was a bit of a shame, because that's very clear if you're playing this, that you don't know who's who. And for a game that kind of revolves around position, you'd expect there to be something that helps you keep an eye on things. Another thing for the game as well, there's a lot of tokens. I don't think this game needed to have that many tokens. Nowadays, with tokens, less is definitely more, for sure. We don't need to be inundated with 3 million tokens anymore. There's got to be a better way of doing it.
To streamline it a little bit more.
Yeah, they've got a nice health tracker around the board, which I like. You can put your player's token on the health tracker and just move it down or up, depending on if you're healing or being hurt, which I thought was a nice touch. The only issue with that is some of the monsters don't actually have their little token things, and trying to figure out what to give them and where to put them, especially if you have the expansions where it introduces units. So Like many things, three units will make figures will make up one unit, and they all activate, but they're all individual. It can be quite hard to track those without something to actually move around, which is a bit frustrating. But there's plenty of tokens if you want to just use and make your own, which is what I did. That I use these. These are for upgrading your camp, and I just put 1, 2, and 3 on each unit, and then put the 1, 2, and 3 on the board, just so I knew which one was which. Yeah, it did. But again, you shouldn't have. Does it? We've lost power.
Yeah, I was just gonna say sorry, we lost power.
It's fine. It happens. And these are shut down.
That's it. Done.
The
Go
lights
home,
go black.
everyone.
Like Dig It. Do you remember when they turned that off? It's horrible, wasn't it?
No.
Sad time. Did you ever watch Dig It?
Dig It.
Yeah, Dig It on the TV when we were kids. And they turned
Switched
it
it off.
Yeah, they did like a big power thing and turned it off. And it went,
No.
Hopefully, we're not being shut down. But yeah, it's been an interesting one. The rule book was, I would say, a little bit difficult to get your head around, and that's just because they've gone for that conversational rule book where it's like your friend talking to you. Now, that's fine if someone's teaching you, because that works, because they're pointing at the board and they're picking up a figure and going, when they're talking, they're also waving it around in front of you or a card. And that works for videos and things. It doesn't work in a rule book because they want you to read on. They are going to come to the point where they will explain what it is they've just said, but as a reader in your head, you stop as soon as you don't understand something and you try and figure out what that is. You look around and it breaks up that pattern. Let's make rule books now where we have diagrams, where we have physical, show me a picture of the card you are talking about. They're the rule books that are really easy to understand and we know this. Or make a rule book that has a play. You're playing as you go along and it teaches you these basic mechanics, because you could do that with this game. It isn't that complex that you couldn't do that. So I would have liked to have seen a bit better rule book. Writing is, like I said, is actually really good. The story that they've used for the prelude is great, and the campaign is really nice. It gives you a nice chunk of text just to get you into the flavour of what's going on, and then breaks down any special sequences or anything that is sort of against what the main rules say. Really, really nice.
Of a laugh, weren't you, reading some of it?
Yeah, it was good, and it was, it's not light-hearted. It is slightly graphic, which is nice, because if this is your sort of game, you want something a bit more grungy, and you really want to know these characters, and it does do that. It gives you a really nice flavour. So the writing, I would give them some really nice thumbs up. Again, I always say this, I'd have loved to have seen something like that in Gloomhaven. I really would, because that's what that was missing. And if these guys would write something like that, it doesn't have to be pages long, like Madara. It doesn't have to be 8 essays, but just giving a nice chunk of text really, really gets you into the mood of what's going on.
Especially it sets the scene.
Yeah, it does. It does. It sets the scene, and also it loses signal. But overall, I will say that I think I appreciate what they've tried to do. I think it's probably one of those games that you need to keep playing for a while and decide for yourself if you think that it is for you.
Do you think it's going to be one of those where they bring out like a version 2 of?
I don't know.
With some better improvements?
I don't think so. Probably not. Like I said, I couldn't really think of anything they've done wrong per se. I just think that they've got different styles going into this, and it's probably they've tried not to overdo any of it.
Okay.
They've tried not to overdo any of it, which is good. And I think as a base point for anybody wanting to get into sort of slightly heavier games, deciding if they might like something, this would be great to do that with. It really would. You're not being, like I said, the quality of the models and everything is really good as well. So if you like painting and things, I would paint these because they're really nice, for sure. As I've said, you get token trays with everything as well, all of that, and there's plenty of room, especially if you have any of the other boxes, whether it be the Kickstarter stretch goals box or the expansion. You do get more trays with each of them, so you can spread out these tokens, as I've said. But again, it is one of those cases where there is one token to represent one thing. So, that builds up to the sort of this. I don't even know what all of those are, because I've just gone through it and thought I have no idea. And they have a lot of different things in the game. Each monster does come with its own sort of special things that they do. So there is an element of unknown. I do think once you've played it a few times and played the monsters, you probably would get not bored, but you'd get used to it and you know what to do straight away because you understand that monster. Whereas games like Kingdom Death Monster and things like that always change, and they change things. So even when you think you know something, you don't at all. You know, this doesn't have that. But again, those are big shoes to fill, especially if you're going to try and match it. So I do think that they've done a good job of trying to make something a lot lighter, something that is versatile to the group that you're in. I just think it would be a case of deciding for yourselves if you think that it would be for you. And I think the only way to do that is to play it. So if you do get a chance to play it, I would recommend playing it. I did enjoy the actual skirmish aspect of it. Like I said, it did feel like a bit like chess just because you were having to face and turn as part of your movement. And that was nice. Something that you don't see very often now. But yeah.
Do people think I should give it a go?
You think so?
Maybe.
Yeah. No, you've
maybe
played
I've
a
been
skirmish
too
game before.
stubborn.
You've played a skirmish game before. Your first game you played was the witch one.
Oh, that witch one. I loved that
Yeah,
one.
it's pretty much the same thing.
That was right.
Such
We
a-
can't remember the name of that.
No.
We're trying to remember
Something.
something. It was called
memorable,
something.
obviously.
It was
So,
really good.
Yeah, it was really good. So
Yeah.
from me, I'm going to give it a 1 thumbs up. Which,
Ooh.
yeah, I'm going to give it a 1 thumbs up from me because I'm, like I said, I'm not on the fence, but I suppose that is on the fence, isn't
That
it?
is on the fence. It's half and half.
No, because it
Yeah,
is
and
good.
half.
It is good. I wasn't ever sat here thinking this is bad. Never.
No.
But I was thinking,
Otherwise
is it
we won't be
enough
here.
for me?
Yeah.
But I've obviously played a lot of stuff, and I can see where things have come from, and I just want a little bit more, which is almost a lot of the time I'm saying I want less, but I'm saying I want more. Maybe no one can
You're
please
so
me.
hard to please. Is this it?
Maybe I'm not to please me, but it's a 1 thumbs up from me and a ghostly white for Wild Assent. If you do get a chance to play it, I would. Hopefully, if any of you are going to Games Expo this weekend as well, have a absolutely wonderful time and a blast. And if anyone is playing that there, yeah, join in, have a look, see what you think, and support the publishers because they've done a good job of what they want to do and decide if it's for you. I think there's a lot of people out there, especially if you're getting into board games, that could really enjoy this. I really would. I think it probably would be a good pass on to someone like that. Absolutely.
Can we make sure we go to the next board game?
Yeah, we will. It was just unsure. We're not going for any lucrative reasons. We just didn't know if it was going to be on. We didn't know what was going on really. So we're not going to be there sadly, but we will miss you all. Hopefully have a wonderful time. Stay safe, everybody.
Yeah,
that is the main thing. And if you're not going, then please don't be angry at people that do go because it's their choice. And we're not 5 years old.
Let's not get into game politics.
Yeah, let's not get into game politics. No, but have a wonderful time, everybody. From us at the Board Game Basement, we hope we will see you at the next expo that comes around. We'll definitely be there then, doing lots of
Maybe
good
like
stuff.
a little badge. Can I have one of those badges? You know,
Special badge.
That says your name on it. You know, like those stereotypical name badges that you see.
I think you get a press badge anyway.
Oh dear.
Yeah, we get a press badge, so it'll be fine.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
And we'll bring Ghosty, obviously.
of course.
He'll have to get his own little badge.
We're bringing you.
So cheeky.
I know.
He'll get his own little badge.
So thank you very much for listening and all the support. We'll lots more games coming as always. So yeah, keep your ears to the ground and we shall see you again. So from us, Ghosty, and from Wild Assent, we'll say have a lovely weekend if you're going and enjoy yourselves.
Have fun.
Toodaloo.
Bye.
Oh, my TV went off.
I know.